Hi, this is Shankar from Ekascloud. In this video, I will explain about what jump server is or bastion host. So why do we need jump server or bastion host? This is what we are going to see in this video. So when we create a VPC when we create a custom VPC, we will have something called public subnet and private subnet, right? So let us say this is my private subnet and this is my public subnet, and the public subnet will have the internet gateway access. So the public subnet will have the internet access. So the instance which is created inside the public subnet will have the uh, access to the internet. So let's say this is the public subnet and this is the private subnet. And the instance inside this private subnet is the private instance, which will have only the private IP address and cannot be accessed directly. So, and when we talk about public instance or public subnet, this public subnet has a public instance which will have both public IP and private IP. So, when we have the public IP only, you can able to access this instance, right? And this internet gateway can only be connected to the public instance so that the private instance is secure. This private instance will not have the outside network connectivity. So this is why we need something called jump server or bastion host. So for example, let us say we want this kind of a private instance to be connected and accessed. So what we can do is we can use this public server in this our public instance in this public subnet as a bastion host or the jump server. With the help of this EC2 instance which is in the public subnet, we can connect them to the private subnet. So private instance in the private subnet. So this is when this EC2 instance in the public subnet will become a jump server or a bastion host. So this is what we are going to see in this video. So we are going to do this with the help of Linux server. So I'll go to my AWS account. In AWS account, I will launch two instances, one with both public and private IP, and another one with only the private IP address, so that it cannot be directly accessed through internet. But the public instance can be accessed to internet as it have both public and private IP. So I will create public IP first, public instance first. So public, I'm going to go with Amazon Linux and I going to select a key pair. Now in network settings here you can see I will select the same availability zone. So as you can see this will be under same availability zone. I will select 1B and I will enable public IP so that this will be a public instance, and I will launch the instance. Next I am going to launch a private instance with the public IP assigned disabled. So how are we going to do? I will launch instance. I will name this as private. I will launch the same Amazon Linux and I will select the key pair. Now I will create a subnet. I will select 1B and I will disable this public IP so that this instance I am creating now with the name private will only have the private IP address and cannot be directly accessed through internet. So we cannot directly access through internet. So with the help of public instance which we have created before, we are going to sign into this private instance. So I will launch instance. So now what we are going to do is we are going to go inside public instance. Here you can see we have public IP address and private address, but this instance will have only private IP address and not public IP address. So we cannot directly access this private instance as it does not have the public IP address. So what we are going to do is we are going to sign into this public IP address and make this public instance as a bastion host or the jump server. We are going to make this EC2 instance as jump server so that it can connect to private instance. So as you all know, as I said before, the internet gateway is only connected to the public instance and cannot access private instance. So what we are going to do is we are going to sign in to the public instance. I will connect. Now I am inside my public instance. So what I am going to do is I'm going to make this as a jump server. So I will go to private instance. I will give connect, and in the SSH client here you can see with the help of this command we can do this. This is the private IP address, and we are going to use the key which I have created, key pair. So for that we have to create a key pair in this public subnet. So I will create a key pair vim aws mom dot pem file. So if I give enter, it will ask for the key. I'll go to insert mode by pressing I. Now what I am going to do is I am going to copy this private key thing and paste that in this file, this aws mum dot pem file. I'm going to paste and I'm going to save with giving escape colon wq exclamatory. I'll give enter. So if I give ls, it will list the PEM file I have created I have created this key file with the help of this by copying the content in the AWS MUM PEM file. So we have got the PEM file. Now what we are going to do is I will go to my private instance and copy this thing SSH I. So this is the PEM file I have created. Then this is the private subnet. So before that we have to change the permission for the key which I have created. Here you can see if I give ls ltr, so this does not have the permission to execute. So only read and write is there. So for that we have to give this permission. You can copy this permission ch modify the permission 400. 4 is nothing but the user. The user can read, write and execute, and this 00 is not needed because the second one is the group and third one is the other user. So I will copy this command and I will paste here so that we can modify the permission of the key for the PIM file. I'll click enter. So I have changed the permission now. Now what we are going to do is we are going to sign into this private instance. So I am inside this public instance and I have created the key. So with the help of key and change the permission of the key, I'm going to connect this. I'm going to make this public instance as jump server or bastion host and connect to this private instance. So I'm going to copy this command and to paste. The last give yes. Here you can see I have signed into my private instance. Here you can see my private ID, private IP address 172.315.180. Here you can see 172.315.180. Now I am inside my private instance. So we have made this private public instance. So as you can see the difference between these two instances. This has both public and private instance, public IP, but this only has the private IP address. And by making this public instance as a jump server or bastion host, I have connected to this private instance. So this is all about jump server or bastion host. Thank you.